So I took on this Honda Super Dream as my very first restoration project. A bike left abandoned for almost 40 years. In the last episode, I went to town on all the rusty components, doing my absolute best to make it look like a new bike again. So in today's upload, we're going to finally start piecing together this Honda CB250 Super Dream project. We've got so many pieces ready to go back on the bike. I mean, I've painted all of these parts, the forks is rebuilt. I do have a new exhaust system all in boxes, and also tucked away down here nicely, we've got the frame for the Super Dream. However, this engine is still a bit dirty. What I'm going to have to do is obviously tidy it up. Look at it. There should also be a gloss black paint as a backdrop, so I'm going to obviously have to do that as well. So yeah, this is going to be a busy upload, so let's get rocking and rolling. To help clean the engine, I used a powerful degreaser. This would be very effective in areas such as the drive sprocket or underneath the engine. Now while that degreaser is working its magic, I'm going to make a start on painting these. So I'm going to have to tape them up first, then I'm going to paint them a nice gloss black. Now I know some of you are going to be in the comments saying, but hang on a minute, I've not taped up the Honda logo. That's going to take me hours. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to spray them as they are, and then afterwards I can quite simply just polish off any paint. Alright, and so these are the spray paints I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for an adhesion promoter first, then I'm going to go for a etch primer, and then I'm going to lastly follow up with all of that with an enamel spray paint in a black gloss. This is perfect because this is going to be hard wearing and yeah, very shiny. With plenty of coat supplied, I allowed these to dry overnight to harden up. And that engine is looking a lot cleaner, but I don't want to spend too much time cleaning. I want to proceed now with fitting the cylinder head, and then once that's all back in situ and the cases are back on, I can go back over the engine as a whole and just polish it up. Before installing the top end, I wanted to ensure I remove any surface dust. Then I began with fitting the top end, starting with a new gasket. I noticed the dowel pins were a little rusty, so I made sure to remove that rust using a light abrasive wheel before I reinstalled them. As I noticed no piston ring gap markings, I read up that it was advised to make sure you separate the ring gap as so not to be aligned with the other. Anything I had polished or had sat around all got wiped down before installation. I thought this was going to be a real challenge trying to get the multiple piston rings on both pistons to fit into the bore of the cylinder, but it turned out a lot easier than I expected. The cylinder block seemed to help squeeze the rings for me. This was a cam chain tensioner and blade. There is also a chain guide blade that slides into place. Here I have two new rubber O-rings for two of the rear outer dowel pins. I have to say, removing this carbon buildup was way easier than I expected. I believe this was down to the lack of additives that was used in the fuel back then. He also thought it would be a good idea to add a squirt of oil around the outer edge of the pistons. I do suspect a bit of smoke when we come to the first start. Now we are ready to install the cylinder head. Again, I do go a bit extra on wiping everything down, just for peace of mind. This bolt is a chain tensioner upper bolt, and on it both bolts up, which I'll come back to at a later stage. I had noticed some very light scoring on the camshaft journal, but I couldn't feel any edge on my nail. Anyway, I add plenty of oil to these areas. Then proceed with fitting the camshaft. The torque settings for these sprocket bolts are between 13 and 16 pound-foot. Now that is the engine all timed up. We know that because those markings on the timing chain gear, they are parallel. Also we needed to make sure that the camshaft, well, this groove in the camshaft was facing up. And we know the engine's at top dead centre because there's a T engraved in the flywheel and there's a little arrow, so you just need to make sure that that's all lined up. Next we fit the assembled rocker carriers. Now you know that bolt that we snapped? I've gone ahead and replaced it. I've got a brand new one. Check that out. After I have nipped the bolts up, I follow the reverse order of the loosening sequence from the workshop manual. This detailed workshop manual was thanks to e-manual online. The correct torque settings for these head bolts are between 22 and 24 pound-foot. Before I fit the rocker cover, we have to check the clearance between each rocker arm and valve stem. Now, after spending many hours polishing away, very tedious stuff, right, polishing these engine cases, but check this out. Look at the results. Very OEM as well with the gloss black backdrop. Look at that. So how about we get those engine cases on the engine? I skipped this part where I polished these covers because, well, this upload would have been many hours long. It's a part of this rebuild I didn't enjoy so much, just due to how time consuming it can be. I add a bit more oil to the rocker carriers and camshaft lobes, then fit the cylinder head rocker cover. And there we go, that's the engine all back together again. Okay, so now the engine is practically ready for its frame, I need to work on putting together a rolling chassis. Starting with the rims. Now I've had the tyres removed obviously, these are very old tyres indeed. I do have some new rubber going on, but for now before I do that I need to obviously service these rims up, give them a clean, change the bearings. Yeah, so I'll get to work on that first. These cool looking star-shaped design wheels are called Constars. They were Honda's replacement for spoked wheels. The bonus to this wheel design back in the 70s where they became maintenance free, as you didn't have to worry about spokes. These front wheel bearings certainly needed replacing. As for the rear bearings, well, I start to struggle big time trying to remove these. The manual says simply just remove the rear bearings like you do on the front. However, that spacer that is in between those two bearings, you cannot just simply move that spacer enough to get enough purchase on the edge of these bearings in order to whack them out. So, because I'm going to lose my patience with this, I'm just going to cut one of these bearings out. This is why it's so difficult to remove those rear bearings, because that spacer is in fact pressed into that bearing. You're supposed to move that spacer enough in order to get purchase on that bearing to go through the middle of that spacer and smack that bearing out. I don't think that is even possible. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How are you going to remove that bearing without using a Dremel? Now then, with these parts, such as the drive sprocket and the rear drum cover, I'm going to sandblast them, then I'm going to paint them. So there we go, both rims fully rebuilt. Obviously new rubber has been installed on my behalf. As for the rest of the wheels, well, I've pressed in new bearings, new oil seals. I'm going to recycle the rear sprocket and the front brake disc because, well, why not? As for cleaning the wheels, well, obviously they look a lot tidier than when we first started. However, I'm not going to go too mad just yet because while I'm putting the bike back together again, obviously they're going to get dirty in the process. So once the bike is all back or ready for the road, I'll go over the rims and give them a proper polish up. But yeah, they are looking a lot better than when we first started. And now that the wheels have been rebuilt, I can get to work on this frame. I'm going to install brand new headstock bearings, fit the suspension, rear swing arm, essentially get this frame ready so we can reinstall the engine.
As I continue to work away rebuilding this Honda Super Dream, I would like to take a moment to let you know that if you find these restoration projects intriguing and would love to help support me bringing old derelict bikes like this back to life, please consider supporting me. You can do this by either becoming a YouTube member of Bikes of Rye, or you can support me via Patreon. As a Patreon member, you will also have the opportunity to win selected project bikes that feature on this channel. This is my way of giving back to those of you who support me in keeping this passion alive. I will leave links in the description if you would like to know more.
Looking brilliant. I mean, I've got to say, the powder coated frame with those brand new rear shockers, new rubber, and some of the parts that I've painted in a gloss black, it's all coming together very nicely. Now, of course, I've slaved everything in situ. You know, I've still got to add grease, add spacers in some places, do the nuts and bolts up properly. But the important thing is the frame is sat there now, balanced on its wheels. And of course, it is now ready for the engine. However, you're going to have to wait for the next upload, I'm afraid, because I'm looking to end this one now. Sorry, but yeah, it's been a long one. This engine in the next upload is going to go into that frame, and then we're going to start the bike by the end of that upload. So if you want to see that, subscribe. Also, I might have a big surprise coming your way too. Something exciting is happening on Bikes of Rye. Another big change. That'll be revealed real soon, so stay tuned. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. See you on the next one.